That's not it. Tell me why. That's weird. Namir, welcome. Not expecting a big turnout tonight, but that's okay. It's fairly late here. Amir, question for you, and is the theme for tonight. Honest question. Oh, this is a very good question, actually. It's a two-part question. The first part of the question is, Amir, would you say that you've ever had what you would consider a mentor? And if so, describe who that person was and how they mentored you. The 1397 calendar. It's always a very interesting question to answer. Did you have a mentor? Sometimes it takes thought because maybe it wasn't an obvious mentor. Unfortunately, I don't have one. Never have had. I would agree. I'm in the same position. So that's my first question. Have you had one? Kind of a person who likes to experiment. I agree. I'm the same way. My second question, Amir, is have you ever been one to somebody else? And if so, and again, it may take time to think about this. Would anyone consider you a mentor to them? And I forgot, Amir, do you have children or no? I'm assuming you do. You don't talk about it. I think in Iran you're forced to have children. Amir, have you ever been a mentor to anybody else? Would anyone consider you their mentor? Oh, no children. Okay. Is your wife begging you for children? That's a separate question. Mm. Mm. A very honest answer, Amir. Very honest answer. I myself am in the same boat. Welcome for other people joining. This is not going to be a big hangout, but we got 3 people here right now. Chime in for you people who are working. So one of my goals this year is to give back to my community by being a mentor in analytics and data science. And it's been going very well so far. It's been very satisfying, actually, to give back with no expectations. It's something I didn't feel very strongly about it a couple years ago, but for some reason this year I feel very, very strongly about it. I don't know why. I think it has to do something with, I was born the youngest of 4. So I was the baby way down here in the pinky. And when you're born the youngest, you can't really help anybody out because you're the one that needs the help or whatever, assistance. But for any of you who are born the youngest, this may apply to you. It's good to be the youngest in some respects because there's less expectations put on you, but you kind of feel like you never did your part, so to speak. and so you feel like you want to contribute. I would agree with that comment, by the way. But this year I've been able to mentor 3 grad students in their early 20s, and it's been surprisingly very satisfying. It's been great, actually, because it's not one way. Being a mentor is not so much a one-way giving. You learn back and forth, especially when you're mentoring technical people, because they have a lot to teach you as well. But it's more of a collaboration, I think. Oh, wow. I'm thinking of all these. It's a great thing about doing live streaming is that you talk about things, then you get ideas for future posts on LinkedIn. In 2019, being a mentor is more about collaboration. I had to write that down before I forgot it. Well, no, but working with young people is highly satisfying, fascinating, I would say. Amir, I don't know if you have found this to be true, but maybe you feel that working with people in their early 20s, you can give them a lot of direction and advice, but do you find that you get to learn a lot from them as well? It can be difficult, I agree. And I'm talking about outside of work. So my mentoring is outside of my day job. So it's not really tied to not directly tied to my work. It's kind of on the side of my work. Yeah. Smoking some Oriental silk. I had to think about it for a second. Oriental silk. I'm running on about 3 hours of sleep from last night. No, but to finish my thoughts on mentoring, I always wish I had a mentor. And to be honest, I'm trying to think. Amir, I'm going to put you on the spot. Take a couple of minutes to think about it. But It's a hard question to answer, so don't rush to answer it. But if you had to name one mentor, who would it be? I'll tell you my story first before you answer. And this is tough. In my life, because I moved so often, different cities all the time, it seemed like when I was 20 or 25 or 30 or 35 or 40, whenever I was moving, I definitely asked a lot of questions to a lot of people, and they would answer those questions. But to be honest, to piggyback on what you were saying, I felt like I kind of had to create my own mentor. There was no mentor. I felt like I really had to ask for all the information I exactly wanted. And I got answers to those questions, but I rarely got additional advice that was helpful. It was very like a gold miner. I was digging for information, but I can't remember someone really reaching out and trying to help me. That's probably because I was so curious. I probably asked more questions that covered all the opportunities for which someone could help me. There's nothing left for them to help me on. It's quite possible, but so I'm not sure I even allowed myself to be open for a mentor. I never stayed at a job more than 2.5, 3 years. Strangely enough, I take that back. The closest thing I had to a mentor was getting feedback from. I was in consulting for many years. I wouldn't really call it a mentor, but I got some very well thought out feedback from my clients, which, again, that's not really a mentor, but it was equally effective as mentoring because it provided a lot of feedback on what I needed to do better and feedback on how I was doing. So strangely enough, I guess my clients have been my mentors, which is maybe not that unusual. And I don't really regret it. It was, I think I was kind of cut out for consulting. I kind of prefer it, actually. We all have our natural talents and abilities, but being a consultant for people you don't know, I found it strangely satisfying. Extremely satisfying, actually. I always felt more comfortable working for a company whose goal it was to serve people outside the company than it was to serve people inside the company. If I was 25, when I was 25 years old, I never could have predicted that would have happened, but that's just kind of what happened. I prefer to someone have outside of someone wise to help me in my life, not just my job. Agreed. I don't know who Charles Bukowski is. I would say when my father was alive, my father passed away 7 years ago, so I was about 35 at the time. To a certain extent, I guess we could all call our fathers a mentor, depending on how much advice you got from your father. I wouldn't say advice, but conversations you have with your father. But again, even then, I had to pull information from my dad. There was very rarely. My father never went to college. He was an entrepreneur. So I was able to, I got a lot of good information from him, but I had to kind of pull it from my dad. I think there might just be certain personalities that are cut out to be mentors and mentorees. I don't know. It's an interesting question. But it's a great feeling to be a mentor. Sometimes I watch these grandiose speeches of Academy Award winners, and they think they're high school teachers and whatnot. And I'm like, is there any high school teacher that really had an impact on my life? The answer is no. And then the question is there any college professor that had an impact on my life? And I'm gonna take a second to really think about it. I don't want to skip past it too quickly. No. And then in grad school, I'm trying to think the same thing. And I'd say, no, I had some great teachers, but not. I had some great teachers, but the teacher's not necessarily a mentor. So no, I guess the answer is no. Amir, I like my father. He guides me very good on my first 24 years of my life, but after that, not so much. I had so many arguments with him. Out of curiosity, Amir, what did you guys argue about? What was the primary recurring argument? We all become like our fathers. No, we got 5 people now. Welcome, new people. Feel free to comment in the chat. Don't be shy. I think we inherit traits of our fathers, but we don't necessarily become them. Every single friend and family told me that I go wrong with my job, but at the end I prove they're wrong. uh, they told me to get employed in good companies. I reject many good positions. Keep going, Amir. I'm listening. Keep going. Continue the story. Is this where you started your own company? I always wanted to work for myself, and at the end, I have a good company with good income. Mm, that is a good story. I almost had the exact opposite story. Not quite, but kind of the opposite. You're an entrepreneur. Your father was not. I had the opposite story. My father was an entrepreneur, and so far I am not. But actually, my whole family is nothing but entrepreneurs. It was hard and getting harder these days, but I enjoy it this way. I always wanted to work for myself, and in the end, I have a good company with good income. Yeah, I see I can envision the story there. Is your father still alive? That's a good question. And if so, what is your relationship with him now? He is. Okay. Uh, my dad he's a very interesting character. Although he passed away 7, 8 years ago, sometimes I forget he passed away. Because the memories are still relatively vivid, I'd say. But he's a very calm guy. I rarely saw my dad get angry, and even then, I never heard him yell in my entire life. I can't think. Then again, I can't recall the last time I yelled. Um, he was very well liked. That's the one thing that I'll never get over is that my dad had tons and tons of friends. I'll never have as many friends as my dad had. And yet he was uneducated, was not a good storyteller. He was not funny. It always perplexed me. Why? I mean, I I could see why my dad was very likable, but it was amazed how many friends he had. And I think he had like a calming spirit that attracted people toward him, I guess. Maybe that's what it was. But he was very, people trusted him, I guess. At the end of the day, I think that's what it was. He was very earnest and trustworthy. Not necessarily intelligent, but very trustworthy. My father gets upset very soon and has sometimes angry, but you're kind of a calm person. Yeah, I think going back to the mentor theme of tonight and giving back to your community, my dad always helped people out. a lot of people ask my dad for help, and he always helped them out. And then whenever he needed help, obviously he had a lot of people help him. So he had a great network of friends, which is great. Something I really envy that he had that I do not have. Times are different, but it's the one aspect of my father that I kind of envy. And he was in construction. But with that said, the one thing that I think my dad did unintentionally was he mentored a lot of people in construction, blue collar work. But I think a lot of younger guys that he hired looked up to him, which is something I kind of aspire to, is to be able to help a younger generation out. Um, Not because you feel you need to, but because you can. And so that's my goal for 2019. Maybe in 2020, but at a minimum in 2019. My goal is to help as many college kids out as possible. It's very, very satisfying. Wow. Assistant Vice President? Why didn't I ever think about this? Favor. It's been ages.
John, let's catch up. Great to see your success at Merrill. You're becoming a company man. Oh, wow. Jeez. That's big. I haven't even thought about it.
Uh, 130. And uh-oh. On that note, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Wow.
Mm.